It was supposed to be a protest. But it became a protest that was no longer a protest. And then it became a violent demonstration. And of course, very disappointing in its outcome. Some of us are students of protest and had led protests at different times in our life, and that also understood the efficacy of protest as a form of communication between the people or particular interest groups and the government or authority, given the environment, as it were. So when there's a call for protest, to me and some of those people that we belong in the same school of thought, is a channel of communication. And communication, the basis of communication is dialogue. If you're talking about communication, the first inference is there's a dialogue, not even a discussion. There's a talk between this group and the other group. And whenever I hear about protest, that is the scenario that comes to my mind. Then, of course, this is not without understanding the fact again that in every form of protestation where you have people physically coming on the street to engage government, and I'm saying government because it may not be government at all times. It could be some other segment of the authority lineage. But when you have people coming from wherever they are and coming on the street, it is to engage government, to call for a redress, a redemption of sort and all that. But we also know that for every protest, there is always what we call the contiguous interest and the remote interest. The contiguous interests are the interests that align with the immediate vision, and aspiration of the people organizing the protest. And of course, the remote interest, those interests where some other people are using the ambush tactics to tap into the protest to also now reflect their own interests that may not even align in any way with the contiguous interest. So this is what I've seen play out here. We're talking of protest. Nigerians have a right to protest. And there's a good reason. They're talking about cost of living, high cost increase and high cost of living. There's a good reason. Everybody is impacted. At whatever economic level, you are, whatever you earn, your earnings, are threatened, are eroded because of high price increase. So everybody across the economic level. So, but when we come out and it now became across about 15 states that I monitored on August 1. In the first 3 hours, it was okay. But after the after that first 3 hours, everything turned upside down. And I saw a particular person whose shop, was looted, and he was there. It was a closed shop, it was not operated and all that, but this set of young people attacked the shop, and it was like you were seeing your life go down in your presence. And that person is not even a government person, has no relationship with government. That is his own livelihood. And some people that were ostensibly, protesting about economy was now destroying, demolishing the livelihood of that person. Now, these are some of the drawbacks in protest. And that is why some of us say the kind of social configuration we have in our population now sometimes will not even advise a protest, because you have all manners of categories of people that don't even understand the essence of protest, or that their own vision, of protest is to destroy and loot. Once there's a talk about protest, it's about looting. And the looting do not only affect the government, as it were, it affects the ordinary people, common people that share in that same aspiration, but believe that the way to do is to be peaceful. So what we have at this moment is unfortunate, and it also talks to the fact that the protesters or the organizers have not done a lot of sensitization with their people. for me, when you are going to protest, the standard template is that there must be an identifiable organization that is responsible, for calling out the protest. That is one. And where the protest begins, because it is a dialogue, that identifiable organization would be that organization that would interface with the authority. So there is a sequence, At the end of it, the authority speaks with the organization, and the organization gets back, to the area of their own interest and find a way of resolving it. The most I was hearing was the president should talk to us. I said it is not. The president, yes, talks, but it is after an aggregation of everything in the environment. Eventually, the president spoke, and a lot of people, some of them are still saying he didn't say what they were expecting. I said, yes, the dialogue here, There's a discussion. You asked the president to speak. He had spoken. And you are still now saying he has not spoken what you wanted to hear. Dialogue is about you coming midway and the other party coming midway, and you find a way of ciphering the thing, and then you agree on particular position of a convergence. So what is obvious now is that we have a group of people that are determined on what the end conclusion should be. And that therefore, if that conclusion does not align with their own position, then they are not going to accept that position. But it's unfortunate. I believe that an understanding of what the president or even the administration's economic policy is about would perhaps, there's a need for Nigerians to have an understanding, either at the historical level or at this critical junction, why there is a need for those policies. And that, of course, historically, when the government is conscious of the limitations and constrictions in an economic space, there may be a need for a paradigm shift. We have seen it. Most of us talk about Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew administered Singapore for more than 30 years. And in those 30 years, it was moving from a period of convenience, because we feel comfortable in our zone, in our comfort zone at a point in time. But an administrator with vision comes and says, no, this is not how we should live. We need to move to a more developmental scale. And he upscales that space. And in doing that, there will be some forms of pains, because we have to give up some of the comforts we have been enjoying. Margaret Thatcher, the same thing. When the British economy was more of a government-driven economy, despite the fact that it was supposed to be based on the capitalist framework. It was Margaret Thatcher, within those 12 years of her administration, that changed that framework. And today, she was known as the Iron Lady then, because she determined that the paradigm shift must occur. The same thing with Reagan that time. And then we also have the perestroika in Russia. So at the point in time when the perestroika was being implemented, price of food skyrocketed, in the Russian market. But now, because there was a need for them to find a way of including some form of capitalist, orientation in their economy. And in that period, within that 4 or 5 years period, there was a lot of challenges economically for them. But again, they are better for it now. So it's as if that is the same thing we are going through here. Do we go on with a $30 billion budget annually? When you put the federal government budget and the state government budget together, they are not up to $50 billion of a population of 200 million, more than 200 million people. And you divide that, how much even per capita of the budget size comes to an average Nigerian. And we feel we are big. We feel we have all the resources. We do not. We are talking of a $50 billion public sector budget, And then what we even have from our private sector. So these are some of the considerations we need to put together. And then to now make it worse, even the small thing we are managing, we decided to destroy. So much that now we are, those who are estimating are talking of 700 billion naira already. We are nudging 1 trillion. Now we have not taken the very important informal sector into consideration. And because about 70% of our economy is made up of informal sector. And it's even difficult to estimate what those ones had lost, because it's every day that they make their earnings and their income. And for every day they are not going out, they are losing a lot.